Madam President, we're working on the NDAA. Is anyone watching what's happening on the Senate floor right now? It's been stalled in terms of amendments, and it's been stalled reportedly because of an amendment, a simple amendment that I think the vast majority of Americans would agree on, that Senator Rubio is trying to get a vote on. But, Madam President, as there are with so many stories in the last 6 months, there's something about the Climate Envoy John Kerry who keeps coming into different stories. And he's in this story as well. And he seems to show up everywhere, always when somebody in this administration is doing something to undermine American interests. There's something about John Kerry. Let me give you the latest. Senator Rubio is trying to move forward with regard to an amendment on his bill, the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. It's essentially a pretty simple bill. Human rights communities agree with it. I think everybody in the Senate agrees with it. And it, in essence, just says that we shouldn't be importing solar panels and other products made in China that are produced with forced labor or slave labor. What American wouldn't agree with that? What American wouldn't agree with that? I think every senator agrees with that. But evidently, there's one American who disagrees with that. Here's an article today, Madam President, from the Free Beacon that talks about senior Biden officials are worried that this bill stopping slave labor products from China coming into America will, quote, undermine the White House's climate agenda and unfortunately limit solar panel imports from China. And, quote, Presidential Climate Envoy John Kerry, among others, has been lobbying congressional members against the bill. Wow. Wow. That's remarkable. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? Someone needs to ask John Kerry that. That's just one example. Something about John Kerry always in the mix, undermining American interests. This is an article from the Washington Post just about a month ago. In advance of climate summit, tension among Biden aides on China policy. In essence, it said John Kerry was in Beijing, a very dangerous proposition, by the way. You want to talk about selling out American interests. And he was begging the Chinese to cooperate on climate change, but they said they're not going to commence, I'm reading from the Washington Post, cooperation until the United States tones it down on human rights, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and trade. So the Chinese are saying, hey, we're not going to do anything on climate, John Kerry, unless you go tell the president to tone it down on Hong Kong, Taiwan, human rights, slave labor probably. And dutifully, John Kerry came back to D.C. and delivered the message. It's all in the Washington Post right here, October 25th. To their credit, Jake Sullivan and others were pretty furious, according to this article, about John Kerry undermining U.S. interests. But, hey, there he goes again. Remarkable. I mean, whose side is this guy on? Let me give you another example. One of the great things that's happened in America over the last 2 decades is this incredible revolution in terms of American energy. For decades, it's been the bipartisan policy of every administration, pretty much every senator, for America to become energy independent. And until the Biden administration came into office, we've achieved that. Again, every administration since World War II, Democrat or Republican, being energy independent would be good for us. One of the ways we've done this through this incredible revolution in the production of American natural gas. It's made us the leader in reducing global greenhouse gas emissions in the world by far. Since 2005 to present, the United States has reduced emissions by almost 15%, more than any other major economy in the world. China's emissions have gone like this. So you would think the export of American LNG all around the world, which is happening, would be great for our workers. It is. Great for our national security. It is. And really good for the environment. It is. Heck, we're even exporting to India and China. That'll help them reduce emissions. This is a win, 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 win. So imagine my surprise when I've met with foreign officials, I won't name them, who have said to me, John Kerry is telling us in our country, in Asia and in Europe, don't buy American natural gas. What? Don't buy American natural gas. Why? I don't know. But there he goes again, undermining U.S. interests, undermining American workers. By the way, undermining the global environment on that one. You don't buy American natural gas, you're going to be producing coal in China. This is what I've heard. And then let me give you one more, Madam President. I came on the floor several months ago, only about 5 months ago, called for the resignation of John Kerry after the interview of his friend, ran the largest state sponsor of terrorism, Foreign Minister Zarif, who was recorded in an interview that was leaked that said John Kerry told him a couple years ago, when Zarif was the Iranian foreign minister, about covert Israeli actions against Israeli interests in Syria. Now think about that. According to news reports, Zarif is heard saying, and we all heard the video, it was former U.S. Secretary John Kerry who told me Israel had launched more than 200 attacks on Iranian forces in Syria, selling out and betraying our biggest ally in the Middle East, Israel. There's something about John Kerry. And every time that guy goes on a mission, you can assure that American national security interests are being undermined. So here's a Christmas present I think the whole country would benefit from. For the good of this country, this former Secretary of State, former U.S. Senator, needs to ride off into the sunset in his private jet and retire or resign, or maybe the president can just fire him. We don't need him undermining American interests anymore. I yield the floor.